This is the Mets POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
A 4-run eighth inning led by Francisco Lindor fuels the Mets to their second straight series win and a win on Mother's Day over the first-place team in the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs. Welcome in to the Mets Postcast here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and on the Locked On Mets podcast feed. Your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game to break it all down for you. And the Mets had some magic, some late inning magic today to win this rubber match, to win this series, and to, in these tests that we talk about early in the season against a very good baseball team, the leaders in the National League Central, the Chicago Cubs, the Mets showed that they belong, taking 2 out of 3. We've got a lot. Griffin Canning was excellent once again. The bullpen, Ryan Stanek, was good. We'll talk about Beatty sitting, Vientos playing. But let's start with how this game was won for New York. Let's start with what we saw in the 8th inning.
This is what you'll be talking about.
This game was a pitcher's duel for much of it between Griffin Canning and Matthew Boyd. Each team able to get a couple of strikes across. The game was 2-2 after Reed Garrett had given things up in the inning of work that he provided the Mets today. But this was going to be one hit, one inning, one moment that was going to decide this one. This is how close it was. And are you surprised at who provided that moment today for the Mets? Are you surprised that Francisco Lindor stepped up in a big way? I mean, that's just what this team does. That's what this team is. Francisco Lindor at the top of that lineup, leading off games. He does it in that spot. He does it in the 7th, 8th, 9th innings. He's had walk-offs this season. Whatever the moment, Francisco Lindor in the early part of the season, we're still in the beginning part of May, he has come through for this team. He got things started there in that 8th inning, does an excellent job working the count to 3-1. You know you're going to get a pitch to hit there, and you can't put that ball in that spot to Francisco Lindor. He's gonna crush it. And you saw the Francisco Lindor, a very reserved guy. We've seen the big home runs that he's hit. The home run that he hit in September of last year against the Braves. The home run that he hit against the Phillies in the NLDS. He's very calm. He's very collected. He put a little sizzle on this one today, a little bit of a bat flip, a little bit more pizzazz from Francisco on that home run. But he has just been the MVP of this team. He has been one of their best hitters all season long, and he's just come through in these moments. And I know we spend time here on these postcasts. We talk about this team sometimes struggling hitting with 2 outs, sometimes struggling hitting with runners in scoring position, not always being able to come through in these critical, key, clutch situations. But you see it more often than not, they do come through. And I think those negative ones, they just stand out because they're just so frustrating. But we got to remember these ones too, because Lindor got it started. Alonso had a nice double. Vientos, who had a big day today, drove in the insurance run. You feel, okay, 4-2, we've got a comfortable lead. Brandon Nimmo said, hold on just a second. I want to get involved in the party. He hits a 2-run home run to blow this thing open 6-2. And with Edwin Diaz pitching as well as he's been pitching as of late in the 9th inning, they were great. The bullpen was great tonight, specifically in the 8th and 9th inning. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But the Mets had that magic late. They score those 4 runs, and they pick up this series victory. This game was on Roku today, and I'm just sharing my experience. I don't know if anyone else had this same experience, but it's a little buffering today. It was a constant circle on my broadcast. I thought Gary did a great job with Joe Girardi, and I thought it was a weird spot for Gary because he's obviously the Mets play-by-play guy, but he's doing a broadcast that both audiences are obviously listening to. But I thought he did a great job, and obviously we're going to think he did a great job because we're Mets fans. But him and Joe Girardi, I thought, had a great broadcast today, other than the weird buffering that at least I had. I don't know if I'm alone on this, but I saw a couple mentions of it on Twitter. But our first foray into the Sunday leadoff 12 o'clock starts for the New York Mets, 1-0 when the Mets are in the MLB Sunday leadoff game. So at least we have that stat to back it up. Let's talk about Griffin Canning here first, and then we'll talk about Ryan Stanek. And then I see some people talking about it. We'll get into the Beatty sitting, Vientos playing, because I had some thoughts even before the game started about this decision, and I don't want to allow what Vientos did because he had a good game today. I don't want to let that influence my opinion, but we'll share it and we can have this conversation on the other side. But Griffin Canning, I mean, for a guy who entered today's start, winning his last 5 starts, This is why baseball is baseball. He pitches maybe the best he's pitched out of any of those starts, and he doesn't pick up the win today. He goes 6 innings, allows only the 1 earned run, strikes out 5, makes one mistake to PCA that ties the game at 1, but he continues to be excellent. And he's not throwing gas. I mean, he tops out at around 95, right? He's not in there at 97, 98 plus. The fastball isn't his best offering, but what I thought he did a great job of today is he just played 4 corners with his fastball. You know that the slider and the changeup are going to be the out pitches, right? He's going to throw those to keep these batters off balance. That's his bread and butter. That's where he's successful. But I thought he did a great job painting the fastball. Hey, we're going to go up and into the left corner. We're going to go up and away to the right corner. We're going to go down and in, down and away. And I thought he played a great job 4 corners with his fastball that set up his slider, that set up that changeup, that he's able to throw those and start those in the strike zone, and they look like that fastball, but then they have that break late. I thought he did an excellent job. Remember, his fastball is probably his 3rd best pitch. If they don't want him to throw it as much as he was last season, I thought he did a really nice job, especially early, establishing that fastball as I can dot this in different spots. Was the command perfect the whole game? No, he made some mistakes, but I thought he did a good job playing 4 corners with the fastball. The slider was really good. And look, I mean, looking up and down my breakdown of his performance, a 1-2-3 first, a 1-2-3 second, 6 up, 6 down. He works out of trouble in the 3rd. He allows the first 2 men to get on, and some bad luck goes his way. He tries to field a ground ball. It goes off his glove. So that leads a man on base, walks the next guy. So he's immediately 1st and 2nd, nobody out, but he gets out of that trouble. What does he then do? A 1-2-3 inning in the 4th, a 1-2-3 inning in the 5th. So we're into the 6th inning, and he's had one little bit of trouble, but he got out of it. I mean, he had just been setting Chicago Cubs batters up and down all day long. PCA gets him to tie the game in the 6th, but that's it. That's the only blemish for Griffin Canning, who lowered his season ERA today. Again, doesn't get the 6th straight win, but I think this was better than his last start out. 6+ innings. That's what you're asking for from Griffin Canning here, and he delivered again. You can't say much more positive about Griffin Canning. He's just been excellent to start this season. The Mets pitching lab, take the victory lap again. I know we keep saying it, but man, you keep taking that victory lap because they have just produced something special in Griffin Canning, and credit to him because he has bought into what they want him to do, and he has done an excellent job with it. Okay, we've got Ryan Stanek in there. We got to talk about Beatty sitting. We got all that, and then I have to address something with all of you because there was a complaint, and I've seen it a little bit recently. There's been a complaint about this wall back here. I've got something that I want to show to you all that we may be putting up on that wall pretty soon. I want to get your thoughts on it. So we'll do all of that here on the other side. Do you ever check your bank account and you wonder, where did all of my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. Well, that's where Monarch Money comes in. It is your personal CFO that gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it isn't just a budgeting app. Think of it as a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, Monarch, you can use to check your finances, you can track your spending, and you can even plan those long-term goals. Maybe a vacation, maybe there's a wedding coming up, maybe there's a fancy new boat you want to buy. You can track those long-term goals with Monarch Money, and you can manage money with your partner. It is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Are you looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Well, crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. They're one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving, it's going to pack 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they've got fiber and better for you unsaturated fats that are going to help you feeling fuller longer. How about the no shells variety? It's the perfect grab and go snack. Whether you're snacking at your desk, you're on a road trip, or you need that quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Whether you're running between meetings, dropping off the kids, wonderful pistachios are the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right, let's do the announcement first, because the last show that we did, people were like, Chris, you got to get some stuff up here. You see a little OMG in the plant back there. But I got something I want to reveal to you because we've been working on this. We're going to get this hung up here. How do we feel? How do we feel about adding this to the back wall? We feel this is good, right? little City Field poster back there. We'll put that up there. Is that good? That'll be good for the show, right? We'll add that. And then for those of you, because I know there's a lot of you out there that are like me that are Mets fans, but you also have another New York team and you have a New York football team. So I've got this one as well. We're going to put this one up there. Where are my Mets and Jets fans at? We're going to get the MetLife Stadium and the City Field posters up here pretty soon. So we got these framed. They're matted. They're ready to go. And they're going to go up there on the wall here, hopefully sometime this week. So soon we'll get these posters up there. We'll spruce up the back wall. I've heard the complaints. Get that back wall spruced up with some Mets stuff up there. So we got that stuff going up this week. Ryan Stanek got in this game, and he got in this game in a high leverage situation. Since the 3 blown leads, the 2 in Washington and the 1 against Arizona, they have taken him out of the high leverage situations. And we recommended it. Many people were talking about it, putting him in spots where he could gain his confidence back. And they did that. It was about a week or so where he was in big leads or when the team was losing. They avoided him being in a super high leverage spot. And then today, they put him right back in a high leverage spot. He came into this game, a 2-2 game in the 8th, and in his first true high leverage situation since blowing those 3 saves, or those 3 leads, I should say, 2 saves and then 1 lead in the 8th inning, he was excellent. No damage, no runs against Ryan Stanek. And so he was building up that confidence in those non-high leverage appearances, but now we can add a high leverage appearance to his ledger, to his resume as of late. And I think that's going to do wonders for him. And more importantly, I think it's going to do wonders for Carlos Mendoza to be able to trust Ryan Stanek now in a big spot, now that he's seen that he's got his confidence back, and now that he was able to thrive in this role today, back in the 8th inning. Okay, the Mets decided to sit Brett Baty today against the lefty. They put Mark Vientos back in the lineup. I want us to put to the side for just a second how good Vientos played today, right? I want us to put aside the home run, the RBI hit for the insurance run to make it 4-2. Let's put Mark Vientos's day today aside for just a second. Let's evaluate this on the merits. There are 2 camps that you can fall into with Brett Baty sitting. You can fall into the camp of this dude was the only Mets offense yesterday. To quote my dad, who texted me this during the game yesterday, Chicago Cubs 6, Brett Baty 5. Brett Baty provided all 5 of the runs for the Mets via the 2 home runs yesterday. And then you had in the first game of this series, him have a home run as well. So he's been on fire since coming back up to this team. He has just looked like a different hitter, a much more confident hitter, and he's been producing for this team. And so you ride the hot hand. I don't care that it's against a lefty. You trust the guy who's hot. You ride the hot hand. You keep him in there. That's camp number 1. Then there's camp number 2 of, you got to go by the numbers. He's been hot. He's playing well, but it's a lefty. He doesn't hit that great against lefties. You want to get Mark back in there to get him confident. You want to get your right-handed hitters going. And so you're going to go strictly by the numbers. Those are the 2 camps you can fall into. I find myself more trying to blend those 2 things together because Brett Baty doesn't hit well against lefties. You want to have Mark Vientos back in there with confidence. You've been sitting him the last couple of days to try to regain his confidence. You want to put him back in a spot, see how he responds. And the best spot for him is when there's a lefty on the mound, and that's a good matchup for him. So Carlos has to find a balance of when to do this. So personally, I didn't have a problem with sitting Baty. Now, you can't be rigid. You have to have an ebb and flow to this. And I think there is an argument for Baty to have played today, but you need to get Mark Vientos going again. Both of these guys being able to contribute is going to help this baseball team moving forward. And so I think if you add it all together, Baty doesn't hit lefties very well. That's a good spot, a good matchup to try to put Mark back in there, to get him going again, to get his confidence back, to get his bat fired up, because they need both of these guys. Can't just be Baty. You need Baty and Vientos. And so I didn't mind necessarily Vientos being back in there, because if you're going to cherry pick a spot to try to get Mark hot again against the lefty, is a nice spot to get him in there. So again, I think more often than not right now, Carlos is going to be able to find a way to get everybody involved. This is a good problem to have, right? After Mark had a good day today, Baty's been hitting well. This is a good issue for us to be debating on a regular basis. Who should be in the lineup? Who should not be in the lineup? You would much rather have a bunch of hot hitters to debate who needs to be in and who doesn't, rather than a bunch of cold guys looking for answers. And so it's a tough position for Carlos Mendoza to be in. But if you asked him, and I'm looking up right now and he's talking to the media after the game, I'm sure he would tell you, good problem to have. And so the word that I would use about this is balance. You need to make sure that Brett Baty, okay, he got the off day against the lefty. Let's see who the Mets play tomorrow. I don't have the exact pitching breakdowns. They play the Pirates tomorrow. Is that Skeens? Is Skeens first guy up in this one? So it's Skeens tomorrow in Pittsburgh. If you wanted to go right back to Beatty to ride the hot hand, put him in there against Skeens, I'd have no problem with that. It's all about balance. And it is a tough task for Carlos Mendoza, but it's a good problem to have a bunch of hitters that you want to decide between. Two Cats says the Mets can't beat real teams, puts it in quotes, literally take back-to-back series against two very solid NL teams that also compete very well against the Dodgers. Listen, I think there were some people that were waiting for the Mets to pass or fail these tests against these teams. I know they lost 2 out of 3 to Arizona a couple weeks ago, but let's just go through it right now. Big litmus test series for this team. They swept Philly the first time they played the Phillies this season. They took 2 out of 3 in Arizona as a response to what happened the week prior at Citi Field. And then against the team that is leading the National League Central, they took 2 out of 3. Passing a lot of tests, passing more tests than they failed. Honestly, the tests that they failed, losing 2 out of 3 to St. Louis, losing the last 2 of that doubleheader, yeah, that's fair. The split in Washington, self-inflicted wounds, blew a couple leads. Losing 2 out of 3 in Minnesota, sure. But that's baseball, man. That's going to happen. And so I much rather this, where they show up in these big series, they show up against these teams, and they show that they can handle. It's the best offense run-producing-wise in baseball. And 2 out of the 3 days, they did a really nice job shutting them down. So credit to the pitching, it's credit to the bullpen, and the hitting showed up in a big way. So it was offense versus pitching. The Mets offense 1 out, 2 out of 3. The Mets now move to 26-15. Atop first place in the National League East, and it is a 3-game series starting tomorrow night with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's David Peterson going up against Paul Skeens. So our first chance to see the ace of the Pittsburgh Pirates, Paul Skeens. Don't you worry, we'll be right back here to break it all down on the Mets postcast when that game concludes. Hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. It was a great Mother's Day at the ballpark. A lot of pink gear there on the Mets, and a nice win on Mother's Day to send all the moms home happy with a Mets victory and a series victory. 2 straight series wins for the New York Mets. They are, I think, back, right? 2 out of 3 against Arizona, 2 out of 3 against Chicago. So 4 of their last 6. Feels like they might be turning a corner. Again, the only team in baseball to not lose 3 games in a row. And so that is where they're incredibly consistent. Their resiliency has been shown off a bunch this season, and they showed it again today. After losing a close one, a nail-biter last night, they're able to respond in a big way tonight. We will be back tomorrow to break down the first game of this series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Appreciate all of you being here on these Mets postcasts after each and every game throughout the course of the season. If you are new, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live and you can join us here on the show. But I hope everybody has a great rest of their Sunday, a great rest of their Mother's Day. We'll be back tomorrow to break down the Mets in their opener against the Pirates. See you, everybody.